It's Tuesday, March 31st, 2015. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we're talking about the XCOM board game, now that we've played it more than once.
Protect humanity.
From Poorly Written Rules.
Let's do this.
I'm actually kind of glad that con season's over for a while.
It's not over for a while. It's a convention this weekend.
Yeah, and it's the last one.
That's right.
That
is good.
I've been living out of hotels. Because outside of Geeknights, I've been going to a bunch of other conventions all over the world. I've been to London like 3 times.
Why don't you go to some conventions there?
I did, and
Nerdy
I'm tired
ones.
of it. They weren't that nerdy. Though, in a couple weeks, I'm going to Mumbai,
Great.
and there, I'm on a panel, but whatever. The panel is about like FPGA and NTP and PTP and all this stuff.
FPGAs?
Yeah, that's a big deal in my industry. You want to talk about FPGAs?
You're using FPGAs in finance?
No, we're not, because they're stupid wastes of money.
But it's like, who's even programming them?
You want to learn about that shit? We can talk all day.
That's a Monday show. Have we ever done a Monday show on FPGAs?
No, and I feel like we should.
Do you know what FPGA stands for?
Programmable gate. I forget the acronym.
Array.
Yeah.
Array. Field programmable gate array.
Yeah. I
didn't think that anyone outside of like electronics, like testing.
So Scott,
stuff
my
used
job,
those.
like one of the things we sell is like fix engines, like middleware for like financial.
Yeah, but you write it in
institutions.
Java.
Yeah.
Howard, what does that have to do with an FPGA? That is as far away from FPGAs as possible.
So basically, what you would do, we don't offer this because it's literally worthless.
Is someone selling like a JVM in an FPGA?
No. So you realize not everyone writes this stuff in Java.
Okay.
So there's another company that claims to have one of these things that we do, but they've implemented it in FPGA to get below the 20 microsecond like latency round trip time.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they can get it down to like 14 and are perfectly controlled situations under incredible expense and time. So,
But I mean, let's talk about it on the Monday show.
We're doing a Monday show,
that.
but yeah, Scott, I'm on this panel, and I'm basically going to say my opinion on FPGAs because I don't think they're worthwhile.
And how
for
much you have to
most
pay
things.
someone to program them?
So basically, hire like 2 or 3 people who are at least as good as you, and let them spend a year, and you'll have something that will
garbage.
work perfect. No, it'll work perfectly, but the thing it's supposed to do is itself obsolete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we do stuff with like solar flare, like network cards, like more or like CUDA cores, like that's another thing. Well,
Yeah, why not? That's
got
normal.
We got a Monday show topic
Yeah.
finally. So yeah, I'm on a panel about that shit, and I'm also giving a lecture, and I can't believe they're letting me do this. It's called, and don't forgive me for the long title, but this is just how those conventions are. How the video game industry has left the financials in the dust technologically. Again, panel title, whatever. But basically, for an hour, I'm going to talk about like how video games are programmed way better than everything in the financial world.
But
and
they're
why
not?
That is. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
But I mean, video
Yeah,
games are
they
programmed
are.
awfully.
Yeah, Scott, you wanna swap? Tell you what, I'll sit at your desk for a day. You sit at mine. You can see the inside of my world, and I'll see the
But
inside
I don't
of
make
your
video
world.
games.
Yeah. So
You're telling me like the code that you guys are making is worse than Dwarf Fortress?
no, I'm saying the technology environment that the majority of the world's like markets exist within is scarily out of date.
Oh, it's like
and
old
insecure.
bust. Yeah, you're using old like
or
busted Java
poorly
stuff.
architected.
And
or,
I'm using like the latest Ubuntu new versions open source stuff.
yeah, like
and-
right now there's a trend.
And you're using CentOS, whatever.
I've bumped into some people out in the industry who are like, "Oh man, we gotta get in on this like no SQL bandwagon."
No, you
like,
don't.
That's the bleeding edge, and we're like, "Well,
No.
one, that was the bleeding edge a long time ago. Now it's like the edge."
Don't use that. Just use Postgres. Postgres is king.
There are cases if you don't need anyway. Monday show.
Postgres does the non-relational stuff now too.
They do.
They
We'll
pretty
see.
much just crushed everybody.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just don't use it because MySQL is easier, and I don't need to crush everybody with database because I don't do data really.
I think we're scaring people away from the Tuesday.
Okay.
So yeah, but I was at ZenkaiCon over the weekend, and it
Now
was
you're bringing up the animes, Mr. Tuesday.
it's not an anime con.
Okay.
It's never been an
it's
anime
only
con.
it's only has a really Japanese name and was formed from the the corpses of 2 anime cons.
No, it was formed actually from the corpses of some sci-fi cons that had anime and gaming, apparently.
Okay.
So it was never ever.
I thought
actually,
one of those cons that it was formed from the corpse of was a con run by an anime society.
Yes, but it was pretty much always a multi-genre con. It's basically like Baby Kineticon.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a lot of gaming going on, and what was interesting is that the people in the gaming area during the day were more our age, and the people everywhere else were like 14 and under.
Mm-hmm.
Panel went super well and all that stuff, but played some games at this con. And they were games that we've already talked about a little bit on Geeknights, but now I've played them enough to actually give a for real review.
Okay.
Navegadore is legit.
You played Navegadore?
Played Navegadore.
You rondled?
We played rondels. I rondled my Navegadore.
Did you rondle your Navigador to Japan?
Actually, the game ended before we got to Nagasaki. It was crazy.
Okay.
So now that I've played Navegadore, knowing the fucking deal, with 3 other people who are pro at Navegadore, the game is very similar to Hansa Teutonica.
Okay.
Because the game, it's not like Puerto Rico where you like build your machine and go through the world. This is a game of every turn you're reacting to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So
he moved his boat forward, which means he passed over those things. I better go grab them.
yeah, or let's see. Chris is like he's giving like he might take the next prestige I need, like the next privilege, but it'll take him at least 2 turns unless he burns some ships to get around that rondel.
That's the thing, is that's the rondel is what really makes it. Because you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, all right, I can take that thing right there real easy, and that leaves that open. Oh, but the person who goes after me, their rondel is open. They can just go and take that easily. If I'll take the thing, and even though that'll leave the other thing open, their rondel is nowhere near what they need to go get it, and I'll be able to get that too, because my rondel will be in position.
It was real close. A player basically gave the game to Chris by giving him one like ridiculous trader like turn, one merchant turn.
Oh, because they shifted the market?
Basically, they shifted the market to
Did they sell goods or produce too many?
They shifted the market to what was literally the most ridiculous possible outcome for one young Chris Reimer.
Mm-hmm.
He made so much money that turn that was the moment he won the game.
Yeah, if you're going to shift the market, you have to make sure no one's in rondel position. But you're always in rondel position for market. There's 2 of them on there.
Yeah, but I played the strategy of basically, I won like one set. I went around the rondel as slow as possible.
You went a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1,
I
1,
did
1.
I did a couple of 2s, but I went super fucking slow to do like have this perfect combo, and I didn't do that until I had the Navegador. Denying everyone else the Navegador as long as possible, and then suddenly using it and surging ahead.
As big as possible, double Navegador. Yeah.
And by doing this, I held out, so I was right in front of privilege right when the next era started. Like, it was a beauty to behold. But in the end, I lost because of that one merchant turn. But yeah, Navegadore is a great game.
Rondels. It's probably the hottest rondel game right now.
I definitely think I cannot name a better rondel game that I have played enough to make that judgment.
Yeah, I've only played Bora once or twice.
Now,
and I've only played Antiki once.
Yeah, I would not.
Isn't this the same guy who made Antiki who loves rondels?
Yeah, Matt Gertz.
Maybe. Click on that.
It's Matt Gertz. I'm pretty sure he did NTK. Yes. NTK.
That's also
NTK 2.
You might as well consider Navegador to be the newest, bestest
proper NTK.
Yeah.
So if you already own Hansa Teutonica, don't bother buying Navegador unless you can get it for less than $100. But Navegador, it's like it'll scratch that Hansa style itch, but it'll scratch that sort of like Puerto Rico itch a little bit because of the market and kind of the way things go.
Well, let's get rondels going here.
Yeah. So the other game I played enough to finally judge is Red 7, which we also talked about before.
Yeah, we played that at PAX East.
It's fun, but I'm done with it.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a game with tons of replay value. It just seemed like a really clever.
It is the same level of replay value as No Thanks.
No Thanks has a lot of replay value.
Exactly. Totally fun to bust out, like, play a couple games of it and then play a real game. But I find increasingly that I have very few decisions I can make. Like, there's only one decision that determines the outcome of the game, and the rest of it is just card counting or luck, and it's, like, there is a skill component.
I mean, even when I played it, I knew it was all luck, but the fun of the game is not in, like, whether you win or lose is pretty much, do you have the cards to win or lose? But it's on your turn figuring out is there even a way that I can not lose this turn?
Exactly.
And it's basically a puzzle game, and it's just, if who gets to solve the most puzzles? I don't know.
This and No Thanks both have this, like, they're very similar in the sense that the decisions you're making and the puzzles you're solving turn by turn are fun, and the game is so quick both to teach and to play.
That you don't really give a shit.
Yeah, that you have a great time, and then you're done, and you play it a few more times, and then you move on to a bigger game. So it's a great game to play, but it's not a great game. That's the way I would say that. Yeah. So I don't think I'll buy it because I already own No Thanks, and almost everyone else we know bought Red 7 and owns it, so we pretty much don't have to rely on ourselves having it.
Yep.
Wait, what? All right, Board Game Geek. Primary name, Red 7. Alternate name, Red.
Okay.
Who is calling this game Red?
I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, let's play some Red.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you got for me?
I don't really have news. I just wanted
You just said before the show you had news.
I have something to say in the news section of the show.
All right.
I just want to warn people. We are recording this show on Tuesday night. It's about...
Oh, wait. Fuck. Tomorrow's the internet's ruined day.
Tomorrow is Internet Ruin Day, which means probably today for most of you, or perhaps even yesterday for people on the other side of the world, depending on when you listen to this.
Yep.
The internet is probably ruined. We have thought many times in the past before it was, cemented in as Internet is Ruin Day that we would ruin this show as well on that day.
Well, we have pulled off some actual for real pranks on April Fool's Days in the past.
Anyway, we're not doing any of that shit.
Remember that one year way back where we uploaded an episode where it sounded like we kept talking in the room and we kept recording, so you'd hear us talking quietly, and then the fader, the closing credits would end. And then you kept hearing us talk for a while, and we basically acted like several of the people in the forum who post a lot were all fake accounts run by us to drum up our forum presence. We made this whole giant thing. That's a fucking prank.
And no one noticed?
People noticed. I'll find the thread.
Okay.
We got several people.
Anyway.
That was back in 2006.
Anyway. Yeah, the internet's going to be ruined today, so listen to this podcast. Maybe, hopefully, you do this on your morning commute, and it's auto-downloaded in iTunes. And when you get to work, you can remember not to look at the internet and not to fall for anyone's bullshit. I only give respect to actual pranks and people actually being fooled. Posting obvious fake thing is not fooling anyone.
Well, there's Scott.
Means
Scott,
that
for some people, figuring out whether or not you're pranking them is I want to be the guy.
Sure, but if you actually fool someone legit, it's a real fool's, let me know because I want to give my respect where it's due. Everyone else, go fuck yourself. Die in a fire. I will make the fire.
Or
it is prepared.
you can just stick a fish on someone's butt. That's also acceptable.
That is not a prank. That is just harassment.
No, that's a long-standing April Fool's thing in
prank
countries other
would
than
be
the US. It's not a prank. I didn't say it was a prank.
To elevate it to prank, you would have to somehow trick the person into falling. I can't figure out a way to do the fish up the butt. But for example,
Wait, I didn't say up the butt.
Anyway,
so you Scott, you make it like a construction paper outline of a fish and you tape it to someone's butt. Jesus.
Yeah, that's not a prank.
I didn't say it was a prank.
It's not. I mean, it's not. I guess it may be a prank, but it's not an April Fool's. Anyway.
For
example, here's the example, right? Someone, the old bucket on top of the door trick?
That's not a prank.
I'm just saying, assuming you do that, all you're doing...
Scott. The April fish. I'm reading Wikipedia. In Italy, France, Belgium, and Belgian-speaking areas of Switzerland and Canada, April 1st tradition is known as the April fish. This includes attempting to attach a paper fish to the victim's back, I always knew it as the butt, without being noticed. That's all they do.
Okay.
Maybe we should do that. Let's move on to that.
That's cute.
That's just get a little fish on someone's butt and hope it stays there all day. That's it. It's like a modern Baron.
But if someone walks in the door and the water falls on them, that's just hurting someone, either with the bucket or with the water.
Well, pranks are by definition hurting someone a little bit.
But let's say that you tamper with somebody's sink and they go to wash their hands and they get sprayed with water. Right? It's like, well, they triggered the Or you gave them a reason to wash their hands.
So you're using the Rickroll rule of they have to ask for it.
Right. It's like you have to somehow fool them or trick them into doing the thing. And then it's like, for example, the gum. Hey, would you like some gum? And they take the gum stick and it snaps them on the finger. That's a fool's.
See, I don't know. I disagree. I think more my
It's not
kind
a
of
good
fool-
one. I'm not saying it's a good one.
But I'm saying the best
But it
April
counts.
Fools were just convincing someone of something that was not true. That was like it's kind of like a payout. It's like the more outrageous the thing is, if you pull it off and get them to believe it, the payout is so much greater.
Right, but you got them to believe that you were giving them gum. It's still that counts at least as a fool, even though it's garbage.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
shouldn't
but that's like going for one victory point.
That's what I'm saying. But at least it's a victory point and not a negative point that should go in the fire.
True.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, I'm not gonna do any pranks tomorrow.
No.
But anyway, things of the day. So I'm not going to ever do this again because I linked to one of these guys' videos before, but I have to link to this one. This is the last one. But Retsupre, those guys who watch other people's Let's Plays and comment on them, Cartman Bra style, long before that existed. This video is titled, Mario Dies at the End. All I will say is that there's a moment. There's a moment when you're going to be thinking something. You're going to be thinking, please pick 4. Please pick 4. And at that moment, the person who is describing this video to you will be saying what you are thinking. This shit's hilarious. That's all I got to say. You should just watch it. It's really short.
Okay. Short is good.
You've seen this.
Yeah.
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 It's very reminiscent of that art exhibit you guys wanted to do.
Right. So we're going to do some meta moment soon. But, this weekend is going to be a Jewish holiday of Passover.
Yeah, it is.
It's the awesomest holiday because Ten Commandments is an awesome movie.
Moses.
Yul Brynner, cooler than anyone listening to the show.
How do you know he's not listening?
He's dead.
Yeah, well,
That's how I know.
there might be ghosts.
The ghost of Yul Brynner can haunt me any day. Come on down. King and I, let's do it. All right.
So where are you going with this?
That's all. Yul Brynner's awesome. Anyway.
Yes.
Also, by the way, he died from smoking a lot. Don't smoke.
Because
Otherwise, he'd probably be like an old man today. Anyway, so.
that's so much better. Anyway.
Yeah. Passover's this weekend. So here's a Passover-related thing of the day. They made a nice little Rube Goldberg machine, which is, usually like whatevs. There's 10 million Rube Goldberg machines on YouTube, and most of them are more impressive than this one. But this one is thematic. Passover thematic, and that gives it the extra bonus points.
That moment.
I could probably accept 2 more thematic Rube Goldberg machines before it's been played out.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And Passover, great theme for a Rube Goldberg because
atypical.
No one's ever done that one before.
It's atypical. There's a lot of things you can reference.
I guarantee this is probably the only Passover-themed Rube Goldberg machine to exist in the history of humanity. I'm willing to bet money on that.
The best moment in this thing is "Let My People Go."
I really like the frogs and
the frogs are funny.
And the burning bush.
No, there are a bunch of Passover Rube Goldberg machines.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my god!
What the fuck?
Oh wait! A lot of these are just that same video ripped off. Okay, wait a minute. I'll have to do a little more research.
Okay.
Here's one more. 195 views. Passover Rube Goldberg machine.
Way to go!
Made by Daniel Lipkin.
Way to go, Daniel.
It doesn't, however, look themed. I'm watching it. It's
I don't
short.
see any theme. I think it's just Passover.
I think he just made it on
and he's
Passover.
he's a little Jew kid, so he's home from school.
Yep.
Or
Oh,
whatever.
I had those.
I had those. It's Marbleworks.
Yeah.
I had Marbleworks.
Marbleworks was a good. Oh, nope. There it is.
At
It
the-
triggered an image at the end.
He had a tablet. Oh, wait, there's more.
Oh, it's not. Oh, this thing's long. Yeah, it triggers a Passover thing.
On a laptop or a tablet at the end? I
Yep.
don't know.
All right, kid.
This kid's excited about Passover.
I'm the second person in the world to like this video.
How could you not like that?
Uploaded in 2011. All right, kid, you deserve this like.
That kid is now 4
Oh
years
my God,
older.
Scott. He Okay. So this kid, Daniel Lipkin, there are cool things about his comment here. The video says, and I quote, recorded on April 20th, 2011 using a flip video camera.
Sure.
Remember the flip video camera?
Yeah.
By Alex and Avi.
Okay. Avi.
Yeah, Avi. With
Don't
your
go
flip
to
video
London.
Camera.
Ram.
In the meta moment, Scott, I'm going to show you something This is the badge they gave me at ZenkaiCon.
Okay.
This is the ribbon that was attached to it.
Glad I didn't receive one of those.
All the other ribbons were normally configured small ribbons.
Was that a prank by Scott Johnson?
But the panelist ribbons for all panelists were this gigantic, first place at the county fair ribbon.
Was that a Scott Johnson prank?
I think that's just how they roll.
Okay.
I was trying to get more of them to make some sort of like ribbon tail and just... So yeah.
Cosplay.
We're going to be this weekend, Friday and Saturday only. We're not even going into the con on Sunday
We're
because
just gonna go home.
Boston is we would, but Boston is a city of cowards, and I don't like being metal detected and having my stuff all searched just to go into an anime con.
Mm-hmm.
So on Friday, we're doing Judge Anime by its cover. We originally said we'd do spring, but we're doing summer instead.
Summer had better shows, and also we did summer last year, so let's do summer this year.
Yep, we'll make every year it'll be summer after this.
Yeah.
And then it'll at around midnight we're doing short form anime. It's been a long time since we've done that panel, so at ZenkaiCon I did it. Ippatsukiki Musume is a fucking gold mine.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Literally no one in the room, and the room was full,
had ever seen it.
Yeah.
Or heard of it.
They, even like friends of ours, had never heard of it. It's been too long.
That has been too long. We should probably find some different episodes of it. I think I have quite a few on my
You know what?
drive.
I've watched a lot of it.
The first one is the best episode.
The first one is literally the best episode
where
of that
she's
show.
she can't move her body.
Yeah.
In the sauna, she can't open the door.
Let's check her body water content now. Uh-oh.
I think in the later ones, like she's trying to boil crabs and like
That's episode 2.
She has to put her hand in the boiling water.
She falls into the boiling water, and then the crabs start attacking her. I remember that part. On Saturday night, we're doing...
The narrators are really the best.
Analyzing Anime Utena.
All right, that's all you.
Yeah, and we're doing Foreign Anime Openers, which is rearranged and better than we've ever done it before.
Such an easy panel.
Yep. And then Sunday morning, we're just getting the fuck home.
We're eating breakfast. Secret breakfast.
Secret breakfast.
Train to New York.
Secret breakfast 2 days.
So you can come to the Train to New York panel. I highly recommend it. The best panel at Anime Boston.
Yeah, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.-ish. If you come on the Acela back to New York, we will entertain you for like 5 minutes and then just take a nap.
We can play some Advance Wars with Rim.
You want to play Advance Wars with me?
No, but the person who gets on the train can.
They won't.
What do you mean they won't?
No one will play Advance Wars with me.
They're willing to buy and sell a ticket. They are.
So yeah, we played the XCOM tabletop game for real, and we live streamed it.
Yep. So this game, if you don't know, XCOM, I hope you know what XCOM is. I hope you know. Anyway, so there's an XCOM board game. It's a co-op game with 4 players.
Based on the recent reboot of the XCOM video game.
Yes, you fight against the aliens. You're all on a team, sort of like Pandemic, only it's real time. And we played a demo of it at PAX Prime. And we now have the real deal, and we played that and live streamed it. And it hasn't really changed that much since the version we played at PAX Prime.
However, it was fun. Like, don't worry, we're going to say a lot of negative things, but in the end, it is fun, and we're going to play it a bunch more.
Yeah.
But a lot of negatives that were not apparent when someone who is an expert at the game from Fantasy Flight runs it for you became strikingly apparent in actual play.
Mm-hmm.
The game's got some pretty serious issues.
Yeah. So the fundamental idea of the game is you're all 4 people. You're running XCOM.
Wait, each one of us is 4 people?
Yes.
Okay.
You're running XCOM, defending the Earth against aliens, because that's what XCOM do. And each person has a unique job. This is the first thing that makes it better than Pandemic. Unique jobs. Each person is responsible for one thing and one thing only. Usually 2 or 3 responsibilities per person. And thus, you can't really be doing everyone's job, right? I mean, you can play 2-player where you do 2 jobs each. You can do 3-player where, but...
And in
you
baby
can even
mode,
do
like you
one
have some
player.
time. Like in baby mode, you can talk a lot more. But if you're playing for real, like if I'm the military guy and I spend time talking to the science officer, that time matters a lot.
Right. So there are other, the real-time factor is the other thing that separates it from Pandemic. In Pandemic, you can sit around for 20 minutes discussing the best possible move, and thus, really, it's only a 1-player game and not a co-op game.
Now, what's
in
interesting is-
XCOM, even if you wanted to share all the information, and even if you discussed everything, you don't have time to, and you don't have the brain power within that time to figure out what the best thing everyone should do is, and you don't even have all the information yet because the real timeness doesn't come from like an MP3 the way Space Alert does. It comes from an app. So you have to finish doing one thing before you go to the next thing. So it's like, decide where to put your interceptors. Okay. Then it's like, oh, by the way, here's where the UFOs are. Fuck!
Yup.
They went somewhere where we didn't go.
Hey, can I move a guy? No, you tapped that silence already. Well, I got time's up.
Time's up.
So what's really interesting about this is that in the end, the game comes down to two phases. There's the push your luck phase, the press your luck phase, and the resource allocation phase. Only the latter is real time.
Yes,
So
you do real-time resource allocating, and then you resolve slowly and carefully.
So the parts of the game that would be really fiddly, like should I attack with these troops or these troops in this particular encounter, there's no time limit on that because that wouldn't have been fun. You'd be like to have a time limit on that. The fiddly stuff doesn't have time limits. The like broad strokes, the where are we focusing has an extreme time limit.
Yep.
It's a game where you have to have 3 friends and you all have to trust each other to not be stupid.
Oh, 4 friends if you count yourself.
Well, are you your own friend?
I don't know.
In this game, a lot of times you're your own worst enemy.
Yes, indeed. So, is the problems with the game, right? So problem number 1 is that you have these cards that give you abilities, and as the science gets researched, you get more cards that give you abilities.
Wait, Scott, this card says used during an encounter. Does that mean any encounter or just a... Every science card had like some level of ambiguity that required us to pause the game and look it up.
It's very clear that some cards are only used during the time phase because they have a picture of a clock on them, and some are only used during the resolution phase because they have 2 cubes on them. But what's not clear is exactly the wording on them is not specific enough that you don't know if you can always do it. Also, another problem with them is that it's because the ones that you use during the time phase, because you're under time pressure, it's very easy to forget that they exist and to remember all of them that are available.
Yeah, you say that because you're the reason we died.
Also, there are other players who can only really pay attention to their own biz because it's so fast. They might have cards to use during the time phase that would be best used on you. Just likewise, you might have cards for the time phase best used on them. So you actually, to get the most efficient use out of them, you would actually have to pay attention to the other person's timed action and say, I'm using this time thing to help you, oh my God, during the time phase.
Yup.
But how can you even pay attention to that while you're too busy thinking about your own shit and then to also remember a card ability you have and also remember to use it on someone else because you paid attention to what they're doing during the time phase.
The end result is that the concept is great because you feel like you're in the Situation Room in Evangelion.
Or XCOM.
Yes. You're down. Well, XCOM and Evangelion are basically the same thing.
Sort of.
Yeah. So you're down there.
People
and you're
can still
making,
make babies
you're
in XCOM.
Yeah, you can. Technically, you can. For now.
the
chrysalid will just get
the
them.
room of Galf isn't closed or whatever.
But yeah, the only problems with the game, the only problems come down to Fantasy Flight wrote the words on the cards.
And they're bad at that. They're bad at that in Netrunner and every other game also.
And the instructions only exist within the app, making it actually really hard to look up rules on the fly and making it extremely likely that anyone you ever play this game with, only one person will have ever read the rules.
Yeah, so the rule in the box there are rules, but it's just a quick start sheet. All the actual rules are in the app, which means if you want to do a rules lookup, you have to like pause, go into some options menu. It's very difficult to peruse the rules in there. It's just really bad. They should have been less cheap because Fantasy Flight's also very cheap. And in addition to putting the rules in the app, also printed the full rules out. Even though one good thing about putting the rules in the app is that as the app, if you have rules updates, you can do app updates.
Yes.
Which is cool. So I'm all in favor of putting the rules in the app to begin with, but that can't be the only place the rules are.
In the very least, some cheat sheets or something.
Right. I mean, people are going to have an iPad or a tablet to play this game. You could also just use a laptop with the web browser, or you could use your iPhone. You could use pretty much any electronic device as access to the app. They made it as, cross-platform as possible, with the web version even. So you could go to the rules on the web, actually, if you wanted to. But people are just going to be there with the one tablet. They're not going to have 4 tablets, okay? You should have printed out a rule book in there.
Yeah. So as a result, the only way to experience this game in its fullest is to play it and like fail at it and have to keep pausing and looking shit up like 3 or 4 times until you like get the game and remember all the sort of errata.
Right,
and
but
details.
all 4 people get the game.
Yes.
As soon as you switch out a player, well, fuck, you gotta, you need 4 people who have been through it, who are XCOM hardened veterans, elites.
Yep.
And know the deal, and then you can start to get the most out of this game.
So
people will know what cards are to the point at which they can just say the name of the card, like, I use X, and people know what that is. Then you can start to actually be good enough to save the world from aliens, because even on easy mode, the app is ruthless.
So only buy this game if you have a group of 4 people, you really want the full set, who is willing to play this game repeatedly and actually get good at it.
Yep.
Or at least competent at it. Once you get to that level, you can play this with other people who are competent at conventions, or you can be the guy who runs the game for other people and teaches it to them. But seriously, the game is not a game until everyone knows the rules and you figured out all the like kind of poorly written details of the cards. So once you get past that, the game is really fun.
Yeah, it's what Pandemic sort of. It's not the great co-op like Hanabi is, but it definitely beats all those other garbage co-ops like Pandemic and Shadows over Camelot.
And it has this interesting, like the kinds of decisions you're making, the brain feel of them, the way the pressure is actually very realistic.
Yeah, and it's not like it's sort of weird in that they found a way to. You look at a game like Space Alert, where it's also real-time decision making. But you're basically programming on your turn in Space Alert, which is kind of a lot to do in real time.
Yup.
And it's sort of annoying tricky. Like, it's like I'm making real game decisions, like as difficult as game decisions I would make in any other Euro game, but I'm time pressured, and that's just sort of frustrating. Here, the time pressure combined with actually what is easy decisions. If you had all the time in the world to decide on things in XCOM, especially during the time, it would be so baby game. It would be like, oh, obviously put the interceptors there because we can move one later if we have to.
Yep. Well, Scott, imagine
that's where we get the most use out of them.
Imagine World War II as a war if you zoomed out and had all the time in the world to think about it when you're making your decisions of where to send the armies and what day is D-Day.
Yep. But it's like the decisions you make in XCOM are like, just you have, how much money do you have? We can put about 4 interceptors. Where do you put them? The place with the most UFOs.
Yeah.
Really simple decision that gets really intense when you've only got about 6 seconds to make it.
Yep. You'll have conversations like, how much money can I spend on interceptors?
And you've
2.
already spent 5 seconds saying that.
Yeah, so it's a real world problem solving like emergent strategy. If you have to be able to very quickly figure out, is the information that I have worth telling anyone? Because the time matters. Is it worth it to ask for permission or to do a thing? Do I even want to interact with people? You have to make these like really real decisions really quickly based on possibly limited information.
Right. The other thing is that there's certain things there's a lot of different areas of the board where things are happening, quite like Shadows over Camelot. All right, you got the UFOs coming down that you have to get rid of or else they cause panic. You've got the base that's under attack that you have to defend or
You've
else
got missions,
your base will be destroyed.
And you need to beat those missions.
Right, and there's missions. The mission doesn't actually pressure you. The way that the base being destroyed or the UFOs can end your game and you have to push back against them. The mission, like, you can do the mission or not. It's up to you. But if you want to have any chance of actually defending the base or reducing panic in the continents, when you beat a mission, you get the rewards. You need those rewards or you will not have enough stuff to protect the world elsewhere. So the mission does pressure you once you realize that is true. And it's very, very difficult to do all these things at once.
What's also very interesting is that the players are fully autonomous. So I could just deploy all my interceptors. I could just be bam and send them all out there. I can do whatever.
And then at the end of the turn, it's like, how much money did we spend? Too much. Well, we're fucked. The end.
Yup. So the players all interact with each other in different ways. So like the I feel like I'm going to specialize in like one or two roles, and I think everyone's going to specialize in like a couple of roles.
Yeah, it might be boring to always do one role, but it's still good to like play one or two of them a whole bunch to get good at them. Because like the science person, they need to learn all those cards. Because if like the first few times they play, they're going to spend a lot of time reading the cards, and that's going to hose you. If you get to the point where you've memorized most of the cards, that's going to save you so much time and improve the decision-making on the science side
but even
tremendously.
Then, science has probably one of the hardest roles in the sense that you have to synthesize quickly the entire state of the game to figure out what technology you're looking at from your choices will help now and is necessary.
Yeah, it's like this.
And you have to figure out how much you should take from everybody else to make that happen.
Right.
So this one will work. And give me $3.
Yeah.
Like we only have $4 left to spend, and like the base is under attack, dude.
Yeah, but it's like the decision you make is so simple. It's like pick a card and choose 0, 1, 2, or 3 scientists to work on it. So if you had even a minute to think about that, it would be brain dead simple. But you have about 5 to 10 seconds. So, and you just drew the cards and you're still reading them.
So, you know what I kind of want? I've been thinking about this. Imagine using this idea for similar other kinds of games. Like, imagine a game where you're all either Gundam pilots or on the bridge of a Gundam.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any sort of real-time battle situation involving multiple people, you could, have the same basic, structure. And the app would totally help you out also.
Exactly.
It's like, all right, I'm in the Gundam. That's my job. You're firing the guns. You're in another Gundam. And the other
one person's firing the low and greens.
And one person's moving the ship.
Yep. One person's actually directing all the Gundam pilots but doesn't do anything else. But
so the app is like, Char just shot at your whatever. Oh my God, move left and do this. Okay.
Yep.
Now this happened. Oh my God, do this. You have 5 seconds, otherwise another bad thing will happen to you.
It's interesting to me that, in all the time people have been trying to make games like this, XCOM actually did do it first. Like, it has flaws, but the flaws are just purely implementation. The concept is so rock solid.
Yeah, I mean, you look at people are like dying to get things going, like Artemis Bridge Simulator. And it's like, that's a big setup with a bunch of computers.
Yeah.
You gotta get the software.
They had it at ZenkaiCon, actually.
Yeah, they have it a lot of places.
Yeah, we're trying to get it at Kineticon.
Sure, why not? It's really popular, but it's like you can get basically the same experience with this XCOM game for way less money and effort.
Yep.
Just one tablet and 4 people and practice.
So watch out for, I hope this pushes co-op tabletop games in a vastly different trajectory from where they've been up to this point.
Mm-hmm. I just sort of wish there was like an app-only mode. It's like the tabletop part, I mean, it's like nice to play a tabletop game, but seriously, you could have just made this like a 4-tablet or 4 3DS game. Just 4 people sit there with their tablets and do it. Why
3DS could not. If there's not enough resolution in the screen.
It's like, it's sort of clever and forward-thinking to combine the app with the tabletop part, but really, it's like if you have software, you don't need the tabletop part. We could just go full software.
Yeah. Well, part of it is that unless you had a very large tablet,
it is quite a large interface. That's true. A big board.
All that stuff, there's a very non-trivial UX problem there.
Yeah, that's somewhat true.
Because it's kind of like, remember in Eclipse, we talked about how the idea that Eclipse, in a big game of Eclipse, because you have to do so much and so many decisions and so much like fiddly stuff, you'll often pay attention to the things that are near you. And you won't pay attention to the colony. It's like, oh, yeah, Pete and Chier are like having a war out there, but I don't have time to pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
So the physicality does add something that would be difficult to do currently with current tablet technology.
It wouldn't be difficult if you had, say, everyone has a tablet and there's something on the TV, but again, that might as well be Artemis Bridge Simulator.
Exactly.
Then. Yeah.
This is a game, because of the way it's set up, that you can feasibly check out from a tabletop library at a convention. Someone whips out their iPhone or iPad, and then you just play.
Yeah, literally any. You could just use a laptop with internet and go to the website. You don't even need an iPad is best, I guess. Probably the big iPad is best. I was using an iPad mini.
Yep.
But any device will get it done. And the app part is free. It's just so you actually, if you don't want to buy this game, you can just go get the free app straight from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store or whatever and read the full rules in the app and do the tutorial in the app and, just get the board game, which is just the pieces pretty much in a box. There's nothing else in there.
Yeah.
and then decide after checking out the app if you. So that's actually pretty cool. It's almost like there's a demo of the board game in a way for free.
Yeah, this game, it's shocking how much new ground this game is breaking into.
Yeah, having an XCOM theme doesn't hurt either.
No, it doesn't.
XCOM.
Also, I can't express to you how happy I am that there is a game property. Of course, I guess it's based on another game in this case, but
yes,
like a tabletop game with
licensed
a big name
game that
IP.
isn't garbage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we all remember the Adventure Time games.
Well, they have Star Wars games that are good, Fantasy Flight.
Yeah.
The thing, Fantasy Flight, people don't realize this, right? Okay, so licensed games are usually, most of the time, not good, right? But Fantasy Flight games, the thing that they do, because they're not perfect in by any means, but the one thing that they do is they make licensed games. And not the way Cryptozoic does it, where we'll take any license. Like, people who want games made out of their properties are lining up at Fantasy Flight to say, please make a game with our, intellectual property. And Fantasy Flight, most of the time, says no. They pretty much, that's why they're doing things like fucking Star Wars, like the biggest IP you could possibly have.
It's interesting.
And they're not doing all these others, right?
It's interesting you say that because, my other job, like I'm a product manager, right? And like I'm going to all the other like London conventions things. And what I've noticed over the years, like doing this kind of work, is that the people who say yes quickly and to most things are the worst at doing those things.
It's like the people who bid really low on every government contract.
Exactly. Like the fact, like I've gotten more deals by telling people no than telling people yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be true in every industry, except government contracts.
Right, so Fantasy Flight says no, but they end up doing. They do Star Wars, they do Warhammer, right?
We were real close. Scott Johnson was holding the Star Wars Capital Ships game, like a starter set for it.
My friend Chris, who you played XCOM with, has it, and he's like, what do you do on Monday? And I'm like, busy. He's like, we do it Tuesday, busy. Wednesday, busy. Thursday, packing for Friday. And he's like, I hate you. Because he wants to play it.
I want to play it.
All right, well, it's a 2-people game.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about buying it.
Well, I mean, it's just a core set now. That would be like buying Netrunner at the start.
Yeah, but this I might play because capital ships with momentum.
The problem is that even though there will be people in New York to play it with,
not that many, not as many as regular XCOM or Netrunner.
It doesn't have this note. You're not going to find a lot of places with tables to play it on.
Yeah. Well, you realize that's the same reason why I didn't buy Pitch Car.
Pitch Car.
Actually, no. The only reason I didn't buy Pitch Car is because to get the full set is $300.
Yeah, Rim. Let's just buy a house like a cabin in the sticks.
Yup.
And use it for all our partying and keep all the large games there.
Yeah. What Scott? Remember the banana stand? Fuck that. Here's what we do.
Cabin in the sticks.
We get everyone we know who is in our exact situation in New York. We all collectively buy a cabin like in the fucking Poconos somewhere.
Yep.
And it is just a board game mecca.
Sure.
That's actually probably cheaper than getting a storage unit in Manhattan.
Yeah, well, there's issues like tax, insurance,
those are Scott,
heating, electricity.
I've looked into those things for
making
like
sure
other
it
purposes.
doesn't fall apart. We show up, there's squirrels living in there.
I think those things are all manageable because remember, I was just in Lancaster for ZenkaiCon.
Mm-hmm.
You forget how cheap everything is if you get even like 60 miles in any direction from where we are now.
Way cheap.
I mean, I went to that farmer's market and I bought what felt like a ridiculous amount of high quality food. And I had spent less than $20 on that.
Yep.
I got a beer and I handed the guy a 20 and he gave me a 10 back in my change along with a 5 and a quarter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right, see you guys at Anime Boston. Please come play games with us. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.